There are times where the first creative artist is unnotable. Often they can leave no impact on the career the artist will have or become an embarrassment for the ages. On the opposite end, it can provide a subterranean for decades to come, where it stands the test of time. So was the case with Mashiro Sakurai's debut to the gaming world, Kirby's Dream Land, released in April 1992. Also known as the first one in the now famous Kirby series of video games worldwide. Since I was into gaming, I have always held an appreciation for Kirby's character mythos, which sparked with Return to Dreamland, which was a reinvention of Kirby's classic farmland. I'm sure everyone knows who this pink puff ball is. He has a timeless design that can appeal to all sorts of people. He's cute, but can also be taken seriously. He has a knack for fighting, but a heart of pureness. Of course, none of this would have been possible without an origin. For today, I would like to discuss his first venture and how it's a better game than I thought or most think, Kirby's Dream Land. The story follows the terrors of one dreamland, a special place among the stars, hazardous food and magical sparkling stars stolen from the Wrong King deity and its minions from Mount Duty. Kirby, a cute and roly-poly little white puffball, embarks to save Dreamland from starving to death. Across a series of castles, cave, dungeon, and forests that dare challenge Kirby with dangerous trees, glimpse, clouds, and spectacle creatures, the race to Mount Duty leads to deities protect defeat, and Kirby's restoring Dreamland's belongings back to their place, where the citizens reward him with a house, as in the manual. Playing this for the first time in ages, it felt like watching a director's first feature. I would best compare this with George Miller's debut picture, which was the first Mad Max film. There's parallels between Sakurai and Miller in this regard, where they got their start by a project that was made very cheap, but became a household name due to artistic vision and creativity inspired limitations, along with losing their most famous franchise that influenced generation. In that sense, Kid Icarus Uprising is Mashiro Sakurai's Big in the City, and Mad Max Free Rail is George Miller's Kirby Superstar. Nonetheless, you can tell the founding siblings that made Kirby. While he's not being in this game, nor in the Western release box art, nor with an angry face, he's Kirby. His story is simple, but effective the stakes at play. If he doesn't get the food back, his dream life will suffer. There's enough weight to allow the player to care about this puffy ball. Playing the 5 levels display the unfamiliar that will later become familiarity. There's enormous common enemies of Waldies and Poppy Bros Jr., the eventual mainstay bosses of Whispy Wars and Krakow, and simple as a gameplay to control Kirby across the lands. The brisk pace works in his favor. Kirby moves as well as the cute slime would. There's no combinations or advanced moves down to inhales of enemies and second spec attacks. But given how young Sakurai was developing this, I admire what he does for how limited it feels. He could have half-hearted it. He didn't. A clear field of direction, as described in his YouTube video about the game, was to make it accessible for beginners. Don't make it overly difficult, but also allow risk and reward for those who play it, due to the pickup and play approach. While it's shorter than most games at an hour, there's a great deal of challenge and carefulness. Even if there are held in live pickups, they aren't present everywhere, and once that occurs, it's back to the start. A problem that later platformers, even some current games, have is over-relying on supplying the player with as many lives or health as possible, and not allowing it to do yourself. While it's easy, this game avoids doing that. Once you get the hang of what Jin has to offer, it allows you to be immersed in it. But that's not to say it doesn't have special moves to spice things up. The light ability is filled by more similar power-ups, such as the super spicy Kuro, mint leaf, and microphone, which became basis for later Iron's abilities. There isn't anything major in the grand scheme of things, but they're welcome. And what is surprisingly welcome are the bosses, who have a tendency of having moves that require real thought and skill. Krako's fight comes to mind. He moves fast, and his attacks will hit you when you least expect it. Dodging his beams and trying to all dudes aren't as easy as it sounds, despite the able defeat. The boss battles are not hard to get, but they require some critical thinking. You can't beat through the game by flying. There's a simple use of game design that's for the solid effect. Case in point, the extra mode that's most hard and critical. With reduced health and hard bosses that can rival Assie's boss and Warrior Touch for good master. But also reminds me of Sideways game design. It's the testament to the skills you've earned over the game to insert them against one of the hard versions of it all to go against. Even going back further, the first level is a prime example of said the design he's had. While Kirby has freedom at first away from enemy or obstacles, it grants the player an understanding of how he functions and moves. By the time the parallelities arrive, you know how Kirby moves, but also able to swallow them for double effect. In almost any other platform, the character will die or fall out or fall down a pit. But in Kirby case, that phase is level and part of being able to fly in air. There's a limit to inhaling air, but at the same time, it doesn't mean you go through every level ASAP. Kirby's points of damage fed in the skill remind you the amount of level errors you can make before a checkpoint. So your kills use a sand ability there. Not like the game had a sand ability anyway. It's just that's a very good one to use in later ones. What stood out to me the most was Sakurai's philosophy behind Dreamland, was how he ultimately developed a game 11 skill with a ton of merit behind it to support it. For a long time, though, I didn't see it. Back when I used to constantly get ESAP cards to download a host of classical version console games on the Wii U and 3DS, Janelle was one of those titles that went out one year for me and out the other. My memories are brief as a bypassing product, only seeing it as a symbol to where one of my favorite game franchises originated from as a novelty at most. The fact that Sai was only 19 when it and he was just a tender age of 21 when it was released always gets to me. A fantastic fact about the game's development was that initially it was named Popo of the Spring Breeze, where Kirby's name being Popo, 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 before getting work to Twinkle Popo for the prototype. Kirby's final name was selected out of Nintendo America's polling for names that would be able to catch those outside Japan. Could you imagine if had Kirby had instead got a name of say Nagasika instead? Kirby's own name feels right, just like his first outing is. Sakurai's goal with Dreamland was to be a friendly, accessible game for beginners against the growing complexity of that games were starting to incorporate at the time. Even when Spawn he exceeded. While the game might have been surpassed by many of its most successors, and its light on material beyond what it has in other service, as a timeless filter, boosted by the criticisms of Sakurai's need for its style that makes it came to be a light of its genre all these decades later with charm, cuteness, and challenge. Secretly climbing to the moon and getting endless tomatoes or the design of the final boss rush hub before you fight deity is a screen is Mashiro Sakurai. Regardless of the credits refer to him as Mas Sakurai, weirdly enough. But putting that aside, he created a wonder of endless replayability and enjoyment. Even if removed from a historical value significance, it's a stands on its own as a very good game. No doubt why Kirby came with us today when looking back at all of things started, which I'm very glad for. As such, I say consider revisiting this or checking this one out if you have interest too. I think you might be able to appreciate it more now than you did before, or to find some new joy in it. Remember, it's simply just fun.